Let me say hello to my good friend, Stu Bergier. Hello, Stu.
Glenn, welcome back from Arizona.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm curious to see how everything was yesterday. I mean, just watching it was impressive on television, but being there must have been quite the experience.
It was miraculous. I don't know how it was covered on TV. So I have no idea what it felt like when you were watching it or listening to it. But first of all, the first hour, which I don't think anybody was covering unless you were watching it on TPUSA or on the Blaze. I think we have it all on Blaze YouTube. But the music at the beginning, it was a worship service. And it's the best worship service I have ever seen. I mean, because it was all the giants. I mean, there was like 4 of them, and they're all in the Christian circles. They're all, the top of the line. And they were amazing. It was amazing to see 100,000 people inside and knowing that over 100 million streams outside yesterday. And it was beaming all around the world. And then they started the service, and the people that were talking, the preachers and the pastors that were there, and the messages were, I sat next to a guy, I didn't even know who he was. We were just talking. We were just 2 people just experiencing this. I don't even know if he knew who I was. We didn't talk about any of that. And it was funny because we were watching for the Spirit. We're watching for the Spirit. And I sat down and we just said hello. And I said, feel the Spirit here? Boy, this is strong, isn't it? And he said, oh my gosh, I've never felt anything like this. And I said, I hope it's not chased out by politics. And he said, that's what I have been thinking. So it was kind of like a running commentary between the 2 of us with everybody that spoke. And it was, at one point, I thought, this is what I have waited for 30 years. This is what I've been praying for 30 years. I'm witnessing. I'm still here to witness what I have been praying for. It was absolutely an awakening. And if we follow through, if we stay the course, I've never witnessed anything like it. It was Billy Graham, except it was, I guess normal people. You know what I mean? When you go to a Billy Graham thing, that's what you're expecting. This was something that you didn't really know what to expect. I think everybody expected it to be somewhat spiritual, but it was an altar call. At some point, they were like, stand up if you want to give your life to Christ. And people were standing up. And then here's the president. It was...
Because it went back and forth.
Went back and forth.
Because you saw a bunch of politicians, a bunch of religious figures and people who were more faith-focused. Obviously, the worship is there. I mean, but, you go back to was it 2002? I'm trying to think of the Paul Wellstone funeral.
Oh, my gosh. I was so afraid it was going to turn into that.
Right. It didn't do that. That did not happen.
No, and I was terrified that it would.
Because, there's righteous anger right now. This is unlike the Wellstone thing was, if you don't remember it, he died in a plane crash, right?
Yes.
And then the Democrats, it was right before the election, the Democrats just turned it into this ridiculous we hate Republicans rally, and it backfired on them monumentally.
Yeah.
That was not the vibe of the stuff that I saw at all. But you do risk that when you mix politics with, a
mourning,
a memorial service.
Yes.
You know that both things. Politics were really important to Charlie.
Yes,
this was not it was a secondary focus of his as compared to faith, but it was very high on the priority list.
And everybody that didn't know him would think that was his priority, was politics.
Right.
But it was extraordinarily dangerous for those 2 to be mixed. And I was watching it. Tanya and I were watching it, and so was the guy next to me, watching and talking about how it was going to be viewed by the New York Times. And there were a couple of times on stage that I went, that's not going to be helpful. You know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes it was just about put on the full armor of God. For people who don't understand the full armor of God and what that means spiritually, means you're in a spiritual battle, and all of these things are gifts of the Spirit that you have to have if you're going to go into battle spiritually. But I saw some of the things, and I was like, they're going to interpret that as a call for the nationalization of Christianity, and we're an army, and he's building an army, and all of that crap. I don't know if that's happened yet, but it will. If you were watching it and you were there, first of all, thank you to the guy who brought the giant cross. I don't know. I mean, I know why Jesus carried a cross. There's a guy who was, dragging a cross. And it's like, why?
He's dragging a cross, what, outside?
Yeah.
The arena?
Yeah. And I saw that and I was like, okay, well, there's the front page of, the New York Times or whatever, because they'll just focus on that.
Well, we used to say this about the Tea Party rallies.
Yeah.
Please don't wear the tri-corner hat, because they're going to put you on the cover every single time.
And there's nothing wrong with that, and I appreciate it. I don't know what the point is of that in particular, but I'm sure the guy's heart is in the right place.
Okay, I don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about him either, but I'm sure his heart is in the right place. So I don't mean to demean what he is trying to do. It just is not necessarily, in my opinion, helpful.
Sure.
And then the people that I think were protesters against Charlie Kirk, but tried to make themselves look like the Westboro Baptist Church people, holding signs that say, God hates a certain class of people. I thought, okay, well, there's the second one that is going to be everywhere, because that's what they do. They take pictures of just the worst fringy kind of stuff. And by the way, that wasn't Charlie's message at all.
No. Wait, I'm interested about the outside here. What was it like getting in to this thing?
Because a nightmare.
The lines were incredibly long. They filled the stadium, it seemed like, pretty much.
So we went in, they did by 9 o'clock. I mean, I was in the car just approaching the stadium by 9 because we were told to go a different way. If you were on the floor, you had to go a different way. And that was all Secret Service stuff. And so, but we're driving up to the stadium, and it's 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock. And there was as many people walking in the opposite direction away from the stadium as there were in the stadium.
By people that just
couldn't get in.
Wow.
And it was a beautiful day yesterday, and I had the window open for a little while until I realized that's not a good idea. But I had the window open, and people would see me, and they'd go, "Glenn Beck." I'd be like, "Hey, how are you?" And they'd be like, "Can you get us in?" Yeah, just hop in the back.
No, pile in.
I can't. But there were people that came from everywhere across the country, had driven for hours and hours and hours, and were there at 4 o'clock in the morning and still couldn't get in. Now, they filled another stadium of, I think, 20,000 people right around the corner. So there were two stadiums that were going on. But there had to be at least 100,000 people that did not get into either one of those stadiums.
Wow.
Yeah. It was incredible. Huge. They were anywhere between 250 and 350, I would guess. And there were 100 million streams yesterday. 100 million streams. This thing was viewed all over the world. And I think it is the greatest revival moment of my lifetime. I mean, I remember, I'm old enough to, I remember the days when we had moving pictures. I remember my grandmother used to always watch the Billy Graham, revivals. Mm-hmm. And there would be these big things. I don't even know if they were every year or every couple of years or whatever, but they would fill up stadiums around, and then, special on KIRO, tonight, the Billy Graham revival. And you'd watch it, and as a little kid, wasn't really what I really wanted to watch, but it was better than Lawrence Welk, which was the other choice my grandmother would give us. And you'd watch it, and people would come to Christ, and it was really uplifting. It was really great. That's what this was. This was an awakening. And any preacher that doesn't see that, here, let me just speak to the greedy preachers, okay? There are millions, especially youth. There are millions that are starving for this message. Why are you ignoring it? Why are you ignoring what's really happening in the world? People are searching for answers. You want to fill your coffers? You want to fill your pews? Just talk about what's really happening. And then tie the message of Christ, of peace and truth.
Is this something you're actually encouraging? Hey, for more cash, do this.
If that's what it's going to take. I think there are preachers that don't do it because they're thinking, we're going to lose congregants. We'll lose the tithing. I'll lose the church. I've got payments I have to make. Yeah, that's very Christ-like. Yeah. Talk about what's happening. What's happening.
Is that not occurring?
No. There's I'd say the majority of churches didn't discuss it last Sunday. Didn't discuss it.
Really? I heard it not last Sunday and this Sunday.
Good for you. You're in the right place, but you're also in Texas.
True. I could certainly see how someone would be concerned about talking about an obvious political figure in this context. Though, when it comes to a murder, it's like it really should just be the type of event that is so obvious as to the way you're supposed to react that it should not be divisive.
Your whole value system, that's what church is. I look at it as a hospital for your values. Okay? I'm bleeding to death on my values because I have been in spiritual warfare all week, and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I don't know how to deal with all of this. Help me. Okay? That's why I go to church on Sunday. Help me renew my covenants. Help me be a better person. Help me understand the world through a spiritual lens. What Charlie did was he talked about politics, but he, at the very base of everything, was his belief in God. And there are millions of people that are struggling with their belief in God, and everybody's just talking about the scriptures without any connection to today. The scriptures are alive. When you read the scriptures, they become alive to you because they answer your questions today. I'm struggling with something. I open up the scriptures and my gosh, there's the answer. Okay? It's because it talks about the human condition. It talks about everything is the same. We're all struggling in the same ways, and history repeats itself over and over and over again. So all the answers are there. But why are you talking about a civilization that was, 2,000 years ago when you can easily say, have you seen any of this in today's world? What does this mean to us in today's world? How would Christ want us to deal with this? I want to talk to you about the death penalty and forgiveness that Erika gave yesterday, which in one of the most amazing things ever. I want to talk to you about that, and I want to talk about the death penalty. Why aren't we discussing that in church? Because in the scriptures, the death penalty is really kind of a blood atonement kind of thing. Can you truly be forgiven for murder? Now, I personally think you turn your life over to the Lord and you can be forgiven for anything. But there are some believe that there has to be a blood atonement for that. Now, that's not something the state can do, but I would like to at least talk about that. I'd like to talk about the fact that, is it right to execute? Is it right not to execute? By forgiving somebody, does it mean we don't execute? If I forgive you, it doesn't mean you don't pay the consequence. There is a price. That is mercy, justice. They have to be balanced. I can give you mercy, but justice is demanded. What kind of society are we? We know when we just say, oh, mercy, mercy, you don't understand what happened in their life, and there is no justice. This is the kind of society that you get. And you have nothing but an authoritarian nightmare state if it's all justice and no mercy. More in just a second. Let me tell you about Preborn. We don't get to choose when the biggest decisions show up. They don't always wait for a stable job or a supportive family or a quiet household with savings in the bank. Sometimes they come crashing through the door unannounced, messy, complicated, and very, very real. A woman facing an unplanned pregnancy, in that moment, it can feel like the world is collapsing inward, especially if everyone in your life is saying, get rid of it. It's not really a baby. Get rid of it. You have no chance of survival with a baby. This is where preborn steps in, not with demands, not with just beating you over the head with scriptures. You're going to kill, with compassion. They provide free ultrasounds, offering a glimpse into the life that is already living inside of that mom, and giving moms the space to see, to hear, and to know before making a decision that they can never unmake. That's not about pressure. That's about being present. In a culture that says, just get through this, Preborn believes in giving her a chance to truly see what is at stake, and everything changes with an ultrasound. Just $28 provides a life-saving ultrasound. Go to preborn.com/Beck, preborn.com/Beck, or call or hit pound 250 and say the keyword baby. Pick up your phone, pound 250, say the keyword baby. Together we can end this tragedy, one mother, one baby at a time. Sponsored by Preborn. 10 seconds, station ID.
There's so much to cover from this, and I mean, we could play some of the audio and such as well today, but it seemed to me the Erika Kirk speech was not only the highlight of it, but also, if that's all you saw, that is a perfect way to experience the entire event. Like, she was incredible, and the poise that she showed, I thought, was incredible, but also the message.
It was probably the best defense of marriage and family I've ever heard. And the forgiveness is, I mean, you either believe it or you don't. You know, I think there's going to be a lot of people, I believe that. Well,
yeah, maybe. To me, it just struck me as the ultimate, like, billboard for Christianity.
It is. It is the moment. How long have I talked about the Amish forgiving the shooter as they're pulling the bodies of their children out of that school? They're forgiving and comforting the mother, forgiving the shooter, comforting the mother of the shooter, and saying, you lost someone too today. I mean, that is Christianity.
Yeah, and if you think, you mentioned, what are the New York Times going to show in their papers of this? They're going to show the guy with the cross or whatever. Think of the vision the average secular urban reader of the New York Times gets of Christians. Like, they're evil, they're hateful, they don't like people who look different than them. The 9 million things that they say about Christians on a day-to-day basis. And then when you see her, who just lost her husband, who lost the father of her children, to forgive in that moment, which I don't know that I would have had anywhere near the strength to do.
She is rock solid.
She's rock solid. And I think that was just like, wow, that's who these people are. Wait a minute. That's what Christians are? Like, maybe I want to be part of that group if you happen to not be.
Amen to that. May this heal the world.
This is Glenn Beck.
It's off to a good start, I'll tell you that. Let me tell you about the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. Here's something they don't teach you about in schools anymore. The understanding of freedom didn't begin in Philadelphia. It began long, long ago, far out in the desert. It was handed down to a people who walked through fire and exile, slavery, all of it, and who carried with them not just laws, but a vision. Human dignity is not granted by kings. It is given by God. That group of people still exists. They are our brothers, our spiritual brothers and sisters. It still endures today, and it is under attack. I mean, the reason why Israel is under attack is the same reason they killed Charlie Kirk. You've got to stop this message. The sirens that wail over the Israeli cities are not symbolic. Their shelters are not hypothetical. The threats aren't ancient history. It's all of it real in Israel. Can you help the fellowship? It's not just a charity. It is recognizing our shared heritage in action and having the will to honor it. And they are on the front line with food, blankets, medical aid, and hope. Let Israel fight its own wars, but we can help heal people. Get more information how you can join the Flags of Fellowship movement, ifcj.org. That's ifcj.org.
Get every story we talk about every day as part of the free email newsletter. It's at glennbeck.com.
If you didn't see the memorial yesterday, I urge you to go back and watch it from the beginning. I urge you. If you have a young man or a young adult in your family, I urge you just to listen to, is it Dr. Ahern? How do you say his last name? I think it's Ahern from Hillsdale College. It was one of the best speeches I have heard for clarity for youth. It was absolutely perfect. I urge you to go, and you can find it at Blaze TV at YouTube. So go to youtube.com/Blaze TV, and you can watch the entire thing. I urge you, watch it start to finish. At least, I think the political stuff is all really, really good. And, as President Vance said, I have talked about Jesus Christ more in the last 10 days than I have in my entire political career. And so the messages were so spot on in many, many ways, but that's all going to be covered. What was said before the politicos got on is not necessarily going to be covered, and I think that was the heart of all of this. So go back and listen. And I want to just go through some things that Erika Kirk said. I mean, I was flying yesterday and I thought, what are the odds that this amazing spiritual giant who had been prepared, I think, his whole life to do what he did, is smart enough to run a large operation, has the Spirit with him, knows how to argue, knows how to do everything he does, marries a woman who is exactly like that. I mean, she said to me last week, we had a conversation. She said, I think Charlie prepared me for this, and I didn't even know it. She said, he's got stacks of diaries. He wrote a diary every day. And she said, I never read his diaries. I mean, that's not something you do. But after he died, I went in and I started going through his diaries. I was reading the last few pages and everything else. She said, I started reading him. She said, he left me the plans for 2028. He left me the budgets for the future. She said he left this for me. And she is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, TPUSA is in really good hands, I think, with her. But here she is in one of the most Christ-like moments yesterday at the memorial service, talking about the shooter of her husband.
My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life. That young man. On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I don't know how she was able to do that. I mean, I guess I do know how, but it's an incredible thing to watch. And it seemed like it was so... I don't think I've ever seen a stadium like that quiet. I mean,
there's 100,000 people in the stadium.
She's whispering.
Pin drop. Pin drop.
Pin drop. That's what it seemed like.
And what a great moment.
Mm-hmm.
What a great moment. Now, I'm going to get later on in the program, I'm going to get into what does that mean to forgive? Does that mean forgive and move on? Forgive and forget? What is our duty? Because that is the spiritual requirement for your first citizenship. Your first citizenship is the citizenship into the kingdom of God. That is a requirement to be able to hold that citizenship. Okay? Forgive those who hate you, persecute you, kill you. Forgive them. But there is a second citizenship that we hold. And as long as it does not, it can never battle the first citizenship. You cannot lose your first citizenship passport because you're doing something in the second citizenship that you should not be doing. Okay? So are they diametrically opposed in this? Some might say yes. I don't think so, but I just want to talk to you about that here in just a minute. Here she is yesterday. As I was driving up to the stadium and I was driving away from the stadium, the one thing that I thought was there's not a single building on fire, not only in this city, but in the country. There was somebody this weekend that was arrested because they were a left-wing nut job that tried to shoot up tried to kill innocent people at a local ABC station. They had nothing to do with Jimmy Kimmel. Nothing. Didn't matter. They just opened fire on an ABC television station. Okay? Arrested. Also, somebody up, I think it was in New Hampshire, goes to a wedding, starts killing people at the wedding, screaming, "Free Palestine." There is evil. Evil. That's the only way to describe this. Irrational evil. And the only way to fight that is by doing what she did and doing what everybody so far has been doing with the Charlie Kirk thing. And that is fall to your knees in prayer and follow the teachings of Christ. Here's what she said. Let's play cut 2 about riots.
But most of all, God's mercy and God's love have been revealed to me these past 10 days. After Charlie's assassination, we didn't see violence. We didn't see rioting. We saw what my husband always prayed he would see in this country. We saw revival. This past week, we saw people open a Bible for the first time in a decade. We saw people pray for the first time since they were children. We saw people go to a church service for the first time in their entire lives. Charlie liked to journal. And I say this because he did it to remember important moments and sayings that affected him. And one of the things he wrote in his journal was this: every time you make a decision, it puts a mark on your soul. To those of you out there who just made that decision and took the first step toward a spiritual life, I say thank you and welcome.
How many people around the world felt this? I mean, think of South Korea. There is a Charlie Kirk movement happening in South Korea. The Tommy Robinson stuff that's happening over in England, 3 million people on the streets of London holding signs about Charlie Kirk. How many of them watch? I mean, you're talking England. You're talking, just across the water from Europe. Godless, absolutely godless. How many people are finding their faith again? Now, the secret is going to be finding those preachers and those pastors that will deliver the message she just delivered, that it's not about violence. It's not about authoritarianism. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about fixing you first. It's about thinking small. You want to fix the world, fix you first. If we can find those pastors, priests, and rabbis that are actually saying those things and tying it to, I mean, have you heard anybody talk about get married and have lots of children more than you have in the last 10 days? I mean, probably Elon Musk is the only one that I've heard, really going up, going, you got to have children, and I'm doing my best. I've got like 400 of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you have to have children. And in the last week, and especially last night, there were several speakers that were like, get married, have children. It gives your life meaning, and it is true. It is absolutely true. Have children, more than you can afford. I really was very young and very selfish in my 20s, and I didn't grow up in a family. My mom was an alcoholic that committed suicide. My dad was, horribly, horribly abused as a child, and so kind of withdrew because he didn't want to be his father. And so I didn't really. I just this bad kind of family. I mean, we all do. Families that just are not necessarily the best role models. God bless you if you had one. But most of us haven't. And, I didn't know what family really meant until recently, until maybe the last 15 years. And the older I get, the more I understand it. Fame, fortune, success, vacations, whatever it is you're working for, I promise you, is meaningless compared to your family, compared to finding somebody that you truly love and they love you. And the only way to find that is to put first principles first. When you marry somebody, you must have first principles in line. If you don't, you're never going to make it. You're just not. Find that person that agrees with you on first principles and that makes you want to be better. The thing about Tanya, and she stopped saying this long ago, I'm sure, but I used to inspire her to be better, and she inspired me to be better. You know what I mean? And she still does. I think I stopped inspiring her long ago, but I still want to be a better man because of her. First principles, and somebody that makes you say to yourself, I want to be a better man for her. She deserves more than what I am today. You find that person, you will make it through every single storm you can possibly imagine. And that's what gives your life meaning. Back in just a minute. No one kicks down your door to steal your identity these days. Why would they? They don't need to. They can simply slip through your home or your work's Wi-Fi, sift through the customer database that you've been in, fish an old email account, or scrape information from a third-party chatbot you never even knew you encountered. And by the time you notice that something's off, A denied loan, perhaps? Maybe a bill for an account you didn't open? A W-2 filed under your name? The damage is already done, and you're in trouble by that point. LifeLock monitors millions of data points in real time, tracking the digital footprints that you didn't even know you left behind. They alert you when something just doesn't add up, and if the worst happens, they assign a dedicated restoration specialist. It's all they do to walk with you every step of the fix, because it's probably nothing. It's a luxury you can't afford when your entire financial identity is on the line. Protect yourself now with LifeLock. Join now, save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code Beck. Call 1-800-LifeLock, 1-800-LifeLock, or head to LifeLock.com. Use the promo code Beck for 40% off now, LifeLock.com.
Beck will be right back.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. We're so glad you're here. So glad you're here. It was a little surreal yesterday, and you'll have to help me. I don't know what I've said on the air and what I've said off the air, but it was a little surreal yesterday. I turn around, and sitting right behind me is Elon Musk, who, by the way, I can see what the lady's seeing him.
Really?
He actually is a really good-looking guy, and not, you know how he kind of looks, I don't know, a little doughy, you know? Mm-hmm. He doesn't look like that in real life.
Really?
Yeah. And it was one of those things where I wanted to go, I love you so much. And, you know, it's one of those things where I turn around, I see him, he sees me. We have that moment of recognition, just nod each other's head. I mouthed, thank you. He just kind of closed his eyes and nodded like, thank you. And that's all we said. And it killed me because I really wanted to talk to him. But I thought that is an example of somebody who is there because it meant something. You know, he wasn't there obviously for the political points. You know, right. A lot of people are on our side are probably mad at him. I think he has been treated wildly, inappropriately negative. Mm-hmm. And there he sat, just walked in with his children and just sat there quietly by himself, didn't say a word. I mean, it was really nice to see him. Really nice to see him there. And I like the fact that he and Trump got together.
This is Glenn Beck.